Do you believe you know when to use your soft lights and shadows versus when to use your harsher lights and shadows? Well, today I'm here to help out those beginners that may need help on trying to structure their artworks a lot better with using their colors. I'm Joshua Haddad and this is A.T.I. Draws. I'd like to thank everyone who showed up for today's wonderful video, and my apologies on my delay. DaVinci was very hard in working and cooperating with me lately, but I'm glad I'm back. Let's begin. Okay, now in Clip Studio here, we can see that I have 4 balls set up in different ranges of colors. We'll start off with purple. So, using your eyedropper tool, even though we don't need to, we can select the color purple. We can lower down the color just to a dark enough color where it's very easy for us to see, and select our soft airbrush. To demonstrate 2 different types of soft shadows you will commonly use inside of your art career, let's first refer to them to what I prefer to call them. These are the object-based soft shadows, which is where you would draw a soft shadow looping around the designated target to create a nice shadow round about the target here, as you can see what I'm doing. You can even loop it a little over. Then, if we select our black here, there is the casting shadow, a soft casting shadow. This is what we will use when an object is casting an ambient shadow on top of another object. This is a very, very light shadow and is not used a lot. As you can see here, it is a very, very soft shadow. It's definitely there, you can see it, but is not casting lots at all. Now, you're not supposed to be using black for shadows, but just for example purposes, we're using black here, and you can clearly see that, yeah, it's not like a very harsh shadow at all. It just more so gives the ball a more 3D volume in the overall grand scheme of things. Number 2, our soft highlights. So let's use our eyedropper tool once more and select the red ball. This time around, we will be using our lighter colors on the spectrum, and let's say we wanted to do a warmer color. So we will select a warmer color on the palette. Let's use orange. So from there, we'll select our soft airbrush. We'll turn our opacity a bit lower, and this is something you will commonly do in your artworks, whether your artworks are warmer or cooler, or just depends on the setting, you know, wanting to adapt to the color choices that you use for the atmospheric presence. So then you'll just lightly go over the top part of the ball, making sure it has a nice presence. You can even go as far as to make your soft airbrush a little smaller. I want to say that small. A little smaller. And then do a more direct. We can undo this. That's fine. Let's just show you guys the point. And do a more direct. Like, if there was definitely light there, but it wasn't like super hard on the actual object. It was more so just illuminating the presence of a light that's casted from a distance rather than one that's casted from near. And then for for a bigger casting shadow light, you want to obviously turn your opacity up. You can even do it a bit brighter, and you can just warp it around to create additional presence. I'll increase the opacity just a little bit. And you could just create a round. Let's say we could just do a little circle over here around our ball. So like, let's say we want to do like an illuminating style thing here. So now, as we can see in these 2 presents, this is what it looks like to have soft shadows, and this is what it looks like to have a softer light in both versions that you commonly see them. Now, let's move forward towards our sharper colors. Starting with our shadows once more, I'll be selecting the green from here. We will be moving down to a more slightly darker color, not as dark as we originally had, but a really dark color. Then we'll select on a nice inking color that we personally prefer. And this will be the color that we will use to obviously create our shadow. So now you want to kind of, because this is a very targeted shadow area, it is very implied that this area is kind of the most darkest part of this whole piece. And it is, you would not supposed to normally use it as a just like any shadow, but if the shadow is usually directly casting itself on a targeted area. What I mean by that is if light is directly shining on this side of the ball, if like very harsh light, a very harsh shadow will be needed because contrasted colors will always exist. Bright light equals harsh shadow. Softer light equals softer shadow. That's just a rule of thumb. At least something that I've gone by, and it definitely helped me in my most recent artwork. Now for our shadows around here, this is where we create what we like to call our blackouts. This is a very dark shadow. And honestly, I'm just going to use bucket fill. I'm not going to waste your guys' time. As we see here, this creates a very dark shadow. And as I adjust here, I'm just going to talk a bit more. This really puts into perspective like how bright the light has to be inside of this current drawing that we're over this ball in order for it to cast such a dark shadow like the one it did. And again, in order for you to see, like, this is the only two, these are like very harsh colors. To elaborate just a bit more, these are very harsh colors. So you don't want to overdo these shadows because they're only under direct light. Like if it's direct light right here, you get very direct shadows over here. So now let's move on to our lights, our very direct lights. So as we can see here, we have our blue. For our, let's say, looping, I could increase this a little bit more. And our arcing lights, you can do little scribbles with your soft airbrush and then just arc it around the ball. This is usually if you have a darker point or you're trying to create more contrast between the artwork, and this is very useful for creating very designated points of the art. This is very good. For very direct light, this is very direct light. This is only if you need to. You can have your inking come across, let's say to the side here, and just gently swoop down. That would create a very direct light. So if you combine it with your soft, and then like, let's say you did soft over here, and then you put your bright direct line over here, it would create a very contrasting point between this, and that is pretty much what you want. And again, I'll provide warning. If direct light is not shining, then it will not make sense in the artwork. So let's try and put this in a better perspective. Let's say if I did soft airbrush and I'm doing this, and let's say my targeted area is roughly around this area right here, and let's say it gets dark right up here, and then I need my area to like really illuminate over here. You can just swoop and swoop. Doesn't look as clean, but you get the point. It now has like more of a shape to it, where it seems like the light should be going down here. And if we make the color darker and then showcase like, okay, yeah, it definitely has like a little divot around the sides right here. It concaves around right here, right? And then let's say that we had like a very targeted dark point right around here, and then it swoops around inside this like divot. So now we know like there's a divot, and then the light kind of reflects around the said divot. You only want to use contrasting light when light is directly poured upon said area. Now obviously that's not as dark or as, you know, exact way you would do it in your artwork, but that's pretty much the point that needs to be made. So now let's move forward and take a look at my artwork and notice the differences in how I use that towards my skill, so you could be able to recognize that in your own artworks. So now inside of my artwork here, as we can see, I'm going to be focusing mainly on the hair. So now on the hair here, we can see that in the darker areas that were not directly affected by light, we covered it in a gradient. Usually for more hair-like or clothing-like textures, you don't immediately resort to trying to use sharper colors. You try to use more gradient, softer colors, because they create this like gradient styled hair closer to gemstones. You want to achieve this gemstone style look with your hair. At least that's what I prefer. But when you try to draw on your own, try to achieve more of a contrast between your work. It could be as detailed, more detailed than the way I'm doing now, but at least if you understand how light affects by going from a darker targeted point to back to its darker points again, you'll be able to understand that you need to create a gradient and contrast as you go throughout the hair, depending on where the light tends to be. Now, as we can see here, I use more direct light across these areas to highlight where the most common points, like from up here, would be reflecting on the hair. And then also using the concentrated points that you naturally make using your gradients and your blend tool, I was able to use my inking to create a direct line over these areas, creating a very beautiful contrasting color scheme right there for the hair. And it turned out very well. We can even take a look at the hands, how this is applicable for hands as well, how it's applicable for the face as well, how it's applicable for the clothing over here, and we can even take a look at the artwork and how this pastes together using that. So that's my advice and tips towards anyone that wants to learn and master getting down their soft colors and their harsh, sharper colors down.
Well, just to wrap it up, I'd like to thank everyone for watching today's video, and thank you for stopping by. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope your art improves a lot more. But without further ado, it's time to close out. I'll see you guys next time, and thanks for watching today's video.